Welcome to our first video in the series. Now, today we're going to be doing a photo walk through the historic Brawner Farm Loop. So let's just dive right on in. So before going into a photo walk of historic sites, I'd like to give a brief history on the site. And since this is a series, we're going to be covering about 12 different sites. It's going to be really fun, so I'm excited to have you guys along for the journey. So I'm not much of a history buff, but through my research, a few facts about this site. It's the Brawner Farm Loop, and it follows the opposing battle lines of the August 28, 1862 engagement between Confederate forces led by Robert E. Lee and the Union forces led by John Pope. The engagement only lasted for about 90 minutes, and it resulted in about 1,300 casualties on both sides with no clear victor. So that's going to be a sole focus point as we try to capture that feeling behind the history of this place. And you can see here, you can pause the video and read about the battle and also take a look at the map and the layout of the Bronner Farm Loop if you feel the need to. And right off the bat, we're met with this bridge as our entrance into the Bronner Farm Loop. And part of my photo walk process with large historic sites like this one is to focus on things that interest me, as well as certain objects like bridges, historic buildings, and large landscape shots. As you see, I'm about to get down here and take a photo of this initial landscape leading up to one of the main areas of this loop and this hike. And as we go through this hike, again, feel free to pause the video, read the signs. There's a ton of history and stories that go along with this walk, and I did my best to stop and point at most of them so you guys can read them. But this area of the loop is one of the main sections, and it's right where the battle broke out. And I've been fortunate enough to come to this specific spot multiple times in different weather to capture all the different vibes that this place has to offer. And as you'll see in the photos that I provide, I feel that the weather that helps best capture this site and many of the other sites is that overcast, cloudy type of day. It makes the landscape shots, the large landscape shots with subjects like this farmhouse or the hay bales really stand out and emphasize the size and the silence of these different points of interest throughout the walk. Just knowing that so much bloodshed happened in these very fields makes the pictures taken on these different photo walks weigh so much more on my heart, especially knowing that rich history behind them. But as we continue hiking along the loop here, I'll give you a quick rundown on the gear that I'm using in this video. Currently for video, I'm just using my iPhone 16 Pro Max with the 4K 60 setting enabled on it. But in the future, I am looking to upgrade the setup to something like an Osmo Pocket 3 or possibly like a GoPro. So please leave comments and any suggestions you may have for a good video setup. I am looking for some ideas on that. But moving on to my camera setup, I'm using my Fujifilm X-T30 Mark III with a Sigma 30mm f1.4 for all the images that I'm taking throughout this video. And I'll make a separate video on why I chose that camera and that lens, and what other lenses I own, and so on and so forth. Other than that, I always keep about 3 or so batteries on me, depending on the length of the hike or the photo walk. And I like to carry my backpack style camera bag as well. But as we approached this first wooded area, I couldn't believe how quiet it was. It almost sounded as if the trees were talking with each other, the way they were creaking in the wind, just how clean the sound was coming from them. And one of my favorite things about doing photo walks for projects like this is it allows me the opportunity to take pictures for anything that not only interests me, but that helps tell the story of these historical sites. And one thing I really wanted to succeed in doing while searching for good shots is doing a good job of showing my audience the pure scale of some of these landscape shots, as well as some of these really cool tucked away spots like this wooded area. And as you'll see coming up, and as you already have seen, there's like these random bridges, and some of them have water going underneath them, or some of them lead into just another path. And here's one of them right now. It just helps tell the story of these crazy battlefields that we'll be covering throughout this series. Now, when I am taking my pictures, you'll see I first like to get the frame in my head while keeping in mind what perspective will paint the picture the way that I want it to be painted. So should I take the shot at eye level? Should I get low to help lead the viewer to my subject a little better? These are all the different questions that I often consider when taking my photos. And a lot of the times, what I'll do is when I like a scene or I like certain landscape that I'm looking at, I'll just take it in and really think about how I want to capture that, whether that be the angle I shoot at or whether I shoot it vertically or horizontally. I'll take all these things into consideration and then I'll go into framing my shot on the actual camera. And you'll see that here in the upcoming uh, video clip, and I'll also show you what results I got out of it. Now, all of my editing that I've been doing has been in Lightroom. I don't like to edit too heavy in Lightroom because I like to keep the photos as natural as possible. So just keep that in mind as well. And absolutely feel free to comment any videos or tips and tricks in Lightroom that you might want to share with me, or even on photo taking or whatever it is, just comment away. But on the last stretch of trail here, it leads to what I like to call the field of cannons. And at such an historic site like this, I love taking my time to really soak up the area and think about what it must have been like back in 1862 during that night that this battle took place. And that really helps me craft the pictures that I take, as well as I photo walk sites like this. And again, I've had the opportunity to take photos of this specific spot multiple times in multiple different weathers. And in this specific scene, it was a bit warmer, so it was a bit closer to what it was like on that day of the battle since it wasn't summer. But I love the atmosphere that it provides in all different weather. And you'll see here in the upcoming pictures, this shot actually helps portray that feeling of loss and that major bloodshed that actually happened on this battlefield. But this is the final wraparound to the original farmhouse that we saw earlier in the video, just offering us a different perspective. But if you guys get the chance, come out here and check out Brawner Farm Loop. It's our first stop here in the Manassas Battlefield series. Definitely like, comment, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next videos. All right, thanks guys, and see you next time.